Divine understanding. Where wisdom meets peace. Jezebel, the worst woman in the Bible. In the heart of Israel, and one of the most tumultuous times in history, a woman rose from the shadows. She challenges God for trying to eliminate all his prophets. She is known as the cruelest queen in the Bible, a figure as intriguing as she is fearsome. In today's video, we will bring to your attention one of the most controversial characters in history, Jezebel. Get ready to discover the dark secrets and cruel acts that marked his reign. Watch until the end to understand this intriguing story. To fully understand Jezebel's story, he must go back in time to ancient Israel when the divided kingdoms of Israel and Judah were mired in conflict and political instability. The nation of Israel did not obey the commandments of the true God. We are in the 9th century before Christ, in a time of rivalries between kingdoms where religion and politics were intertwined in a deep and often conflicting way. In this turbulent scenario, Jezebel enters the scene as a central figure. She was not just a queen, but an ambitious woman, determined to assert her will in a world dominated by men and the complex religious issues of the time. Now that you understand the historical context, it's time to delve deeper into Jezebel's life and personality. Jezebel was not an ordinary woman. She was born into a family of power and prestige. Her story begins when she marries Ahab, the king of Israel, consolidating a political alliance between Israel and the Phoenician kingdom of Sidon. But Jezebel was much more than a queen. She was ambitious and had her own political ambitions. She brought with her an unwavering devotion to the Phoenician god Baal, and quickly set about promoting Baal worship in Israel. Ahab, husband of Jezebel and king of Israel, is described in the Bible as a very wicked person. He did on a large scale what was evil in the eyes of God. In fact, the Bible says in 1 Kings chapter 16 verse 33 that he did more to offend God than all the kings before him. Under the influence of Jezebel, the altars of Baal were erected throughout the kingdom of Israel, directly challenging the encouragement of the true God of Israel, Jehovah. This not only provoked religious tensions, but also shook the foundations of Israeli society. Now, so that we know a little more about who Jezebel was and how she came to power, it's time to understand more about her actions and the cruel acts that made her famous. Jezebel's story is marked by a series of cruel acts and controversies that turned her into one of the most notorious figures in the Bible. Let's explore these dark events that defined his reign, like the murder of Naboth. These incidents are related in 1 Kings chapter 21. From the window of King Ahab's palace in Jezreel, he could see the land of a man named Naboth. Ahab really wanted that land and tried to buy it, but Naboth didn't want to sell the land because God's law didn't allow it. Naboth did what was right, but Ahab was very upset. He was so upset that he didn't want to leave his room, and he didn't want to eat anymore. Jezebel, Ahab's wicked wife, said, "Ahab, you are the king of Israel. You can have whatever you want. Leave it to me. I will get the land." Jezebel came up with a plan to kill Naboth and get the land. She sent the important men of the city to accuse Naboth of cursing God, so Naboth was killed. Then Jezebel said to Ahab, "Naboth died, can keep his land." The way Jezebel treated Naboth provides us with another perspective on this woman's character, an extremely selfish, unscrupulous, arrogant, and cruel character. Second was the persecution of God's prophets according to 1 Kings chapter 17 and 18. Jezebel was determined to put an end to the worship of the true God in Israel. For this she promotes at all costs the inspiration to the false god Baal. Furthermore, Jezebel was involved in killing all of God's prophets for her to promote the false desire. There were 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Azra, with Jezebel taking care of them all and feeding them from her own royal table. But despite their fanatical efforts to eliminate the worship of God, the true God revealed, "But I will spare 7,000 men in Israel, all those who have not bowed their knees to Baal, and all those whose mouths have not worshipped his images by kissing them." Jezebel had a lot of hatred for Elijah, a prophet of God. Elijah had confronted Ahab and Jezebel for their disgusting acts that they carried out throughout the territory of Israel. Furthermore, Elijah had exposed the falsehood of Baal and his prophets on Mount Carmel. So Jezebel was determined to kill Elijah, who had to flee to a cave in order to preserve his life. All of these cruel acts and controversies turned Jezebel into an infamous figure known not only for her dominance, but also for her determination to promote Baal worship in direct defiance of the true God of Israel. God then decreed that Ahab and his descendants would be removed in one destructive blow. As for his cruel wife Jezebel, God's judgment says that the dogs themselves would devour Jezebel, according to 1 Kings chapter 21 verse 23. After Ahab died, he was succeeded by his sons, first Ahaziah and then Joram. During the reigns of these children, Jezebel, then in her role as queen mother, continued to influence the land with her fornications and sorceries. Jehu murders Joram and takes the throne. Soon after, Jehu went to Jezreel, and Jezebel heard the news. She applied makeup to her eyes, fixed her hair, and looked out the window. When Jehu entered the city, Jezebel said, "Hello, killer." I looked at the window and said, "Who single quotes S on my sigh, who?" Then I found 2 or 3 eunuchs, and I said to them, "Play Jezebel." Then the eunuchs threw Jezebel out of the window. Jezebel's blood spattered the walls, and horses trampled her body. When the men were buried by Jezebel, their corpse was not recovered. I only found the skulls, feet, and palms of the hands. They told this to Jehu, who said to them, "The Lord spoke to his servant Elijah, the dogs will eat the body of Jezebel and Jezreel, and his body will be like a field of dung in Jezreel, and no one will be able to recognize him." The story of Jezebel warns against the practice of evil, the abuse of power, and the rejection of God, showing that, despite temporary influence and power, evil actions have inevitable consequences. If we want to have God's approval, we need to act fairly and honestly in all aspects of our lives.